Alright guys, this video lesson is going over the distributive property lesson notes. Please make sure you have these slides open along with this video, split screen, so you can see my screen and your own. So yesterday we learned about the distributive property and we talked about modeling using different arrays. Today we're going to take away those models and just talk about the distributive property. So on this slide it says the distributive property lets you multiply a sum by first multiplying each addend separately and then adding the products together. So all that's saying is if you take a look at this scale, right, we want this scale to be balanced. Well, on one side we have 5 and then parentheses 2 plus 3. So yesterday we learned that we can distribute that 5, so it would be 5 times 2, and then distribute that 5, so it's 5 times 3. And that would be the same exact thing, just written out, okay? So looking at this, it says, let's try it. Are they equal? Well, yeah, we learned that yes, these would be equal because of our array models yesterday, right? We can visualize that. All right, so let's try this first one. Gives us the problem 6, and then in parentheses, 3 plus 2. So we need to distribute the 6, our outside number, to both the 3 and the 2. So our first one, when we distribute 6 to 3, that becomes the problem 6 times 3. Now remember, whatever sign is in the middle here between that 3 and the 2 needs to also be between your two multiplication problems. So we have a plus sign there. And then the second one was distributing 6 to the 2. So that gives us the multiplication problem, 6 times 2. Now we're going to take it one step further than we did yesterday and actually do our multiplication. So 6 times 3 was our first one. 6 times 3 is 18. And then plus, notice our sign is still the same, 6 times 2, which is 12. So we're not going to solve it any further, but using the distributive property, we can put 18 plus 12. All right, next one, we have 5 times, or in parentheses, 4 plus 3. So we need to distribute, I'm going to draw my line, distribute 5 to the 4, which would be 5 times 4. Our plus sign, right, if it's the plus is between the 4 and the 3, then it needs to be a plus sign between those two multiplication problems. And then we're ready to distribute our 5 to our 3, which gives us the multiplication problem 5 times 3. Now we can do our multiplication. So 5 times 4 is 20 plus, right, the sign is still the same, 5 times 3, which is 15. So for this problem, our answer would be 20 plus 15 using the distributive property. All right, so what happens when I change that center sign to a subtraction sign? Well, we still do the same process, but remember, it's very important that whatever sign is inside your parentheses to start with goes in between your multiplication problems. So same process, we're going to distribute 2 to 8, so that will give us the multiplication problem, 2 times 8, and then distribute 2 to the 5, so 2 times 5. Notice we have a subtraction sign in between because we had a subtraction sign in our beginning problem, which then means we have a subtraction problem in our final answer. So 2 times 8 is 16 minus 2 times 5, which is 10. So using the distributive property, we found it is 16 minus 10. Go ahead and pause this video and try this one on your own. Check back to check your answer. All right, hopefully you completed this problem. So we have to distribute 4 to the 8, so we get 4 times 8. Notice it's a subtraction problem in our beginning problem, so we need a subtraction sign in between our two multiplication problems. So now we can distribute 4 to the 6, so 4 times 6 is our next problem. Do our multiplication. 4 times 8 is 32. Look, there's another subtraction sign because all of our signs should be the same as what we started with. And then 4 times 6 is 24. So using the distributive property, we got 32 minus 24. Go ahead and try these practice problems on your own. Come back to the video to check your answers. All right, in these 3 problems, we had to distribute. So they wanted us to distribute 9 to the 7. So that should have been 9 times 7. In between your multiplication signs in this problem, we started with a subtraction sign. So we needed to put a subtraction sign in between our 2 multiplication problems and then distribute the 9 to the 6, which would be 9 times 6. From here, we can do our multiplication. So 9 times 7 is 63. Again, it's a subtraction sign. And then 9 times 6 is 54. That should have been your answer. Next one, we had 4, and then in parentheses 5 plus 1. So we distribute that 4 to the 5. So 4 times 5. It is a plus sign that we start with, so a plus sign in between our multiplication problems. Then we distribute that 4 to the 1, which gives us the problem 4 times 1. And now we can actually multiply. So 4 times 5 is 20. Bring down our plus sign, and then 4 times 1 is 4. And there's our answer. Then last one on this slide, we had to distribute 3 to 9. So multiplication, 3 times 9. We started with a subtraction sign in between that 9 and 1, so we need a subtraction sign in between our multiplication problems. And then distribute 3 to the 1. So 3 times 1 is our next problem. We're ready to multiply. 3 times 9 is 27. Subtraction sign, 3 times 1 is 3. And we're done. All right, on this slide, we had to distribute 10 to 3. So 10 times 3 is our first multiplication. It is a plus sign that we're starting with. And then distribute 10 to the 2. So 10 times 2. When we do our multiplication, 10 times 3 is 30. Plus 10 times 2 is 20. And we are done. So the last 2 problems asked you to go work backwards, right? We've done this before, so first thing we have to look at is what number do we have in common? Well, we have 4 times 4 plus 4 times 2. So 4 is our number that's in common. That means that is the number that goes outside our parentheses. And then inside our parentheses are our 2 leftover numbers. So 4 and a 2 go inside. And remember, whatever sign is between those 2 multiplication problems should be in your original problem as well. So that should be a plus sign right in there. Then for the last one, same process we just did. Our common number was the number 9. Our 2 leftover numbers were 3 and 2. And we started with a plus sign, so we're going to put a plus sign in between.